Minister delivers opening remarks at the 6th Governing Council meeting of Niti Aayog through video conference, says the basis of the country's progress is cooperative federalism, stresses on the importance of making the state self-reliant and underlines need for strengthening businesses, MSMEs and startups. After a successful disengagement from both northern and southern banks of Pangong Lake, India and China hold 10th round of core commander level talks on the Chinese side of the line of actual control in Moldo. Disengagement from other friction points on the agenda. The United States officially rejoins the Paris Climate Agreement, reinvigorates the global fight against climate change as Biden administration plans drastic emission cuts over the next 3 decades. U.S. climate envoy John Kerry announces the expected big change at a virtual meeting of the United Nations Association of USA. Texans reel under unusually harsh cold wave conditions as the entire state is blanketed white due to extreme weather since Sunday. Power outages, freezing pipelines add to the woes as people line up to receive water bottles. And landmark moment for Oriya cinema and a proud one for India. Neela Madhav Panda's first Oriya film, Kaliratita, makes its entry into Academy Awards race in the general category for the Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Director, among the other categories. The film showcases the impact of climate change and how it impacts a man who lost his family and home to the sea. And it is Battle of Nerves down under as Japanese Naomi Osaka takes on first-time finalist Jennifer Brody for the first Grand Slam of 2021. Fans at Australia Open are up for a treat as 2 talented women will clash to get the honours. Osaka has 3 Grand Slams to her credit, while Brady has demolished many top seeds, powering her way to the finals. Namaskar and welcome. You're watching DD India. I'm Sakal Bhatt and the top story we're tracking for you at this hour. Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed the 6th meeting of the Governing Council of Niti Aayog via video conferencing today. Prime Minister said the basis of the country's progress is cooperative federalism, and today's meeting is to brainstorm to make it more meaningful and move towards competitive cooperative federalism. Prime Minister added that the whole country succeeded when the state and the central government worked together during the corona pandemic. He further added that agenda points for today's meeting were selected keeping in mind the highest priorities of the country. The agenda of the meeting includes deliberations on agriculture, infrastructure, manufacturing sector, human resource development, service delivery at grassroots level, as well as health and nutrition. Addressing the delegates, Prime Minister underlined the importance of cooperative federalism for the nation and urged the states to imbibe the competitive spirit to bring out the best for the development of the nation.
कोऑपरेटिव फेडरलिज्म को और अधिक सार्थक बनाना, और यही नहीं, हमें प्रयत्नपूर्वक कॉम्पिटिटिव कोऑपरेटिव फेडरलिज्म को न सिर्फ राज्यों के बीच डिस्ट्रिक्ट तक ले जाना है ताकि विकास की स्पर्धा निरंतर चलती रहे, विकास ये प्राइम एजेंडा बना रहे, देश को नई ऊंचाई पर ले जाने की स्पर्धा कैसे बढ़े, ये मंथन करने के लिए पहले भी कई बार हमने चर्चा की है। आज भी स्वाभाविक है कि इस समिट में उस पर बल दिया जाएगा।
Prime Minister also said that initiatives launched by the centre worked well to enhance the lives of the nation's poor and downtrodden and also reflected a phenomenal change in their lives.
हमारे देश के गरीबों को एम्पावर करने की दिशा में बैंक खाते खुलने से, टीकाकरण बढ़ने से, स्वास्थ्य सुविधा बढ़ने से, मुफ्त बिजली कनेक्शन मिलने से, मुफ्त गैस कनेक्शन, मुफ्त शौचालय निर्माण की योजनाओं उनके जीवन में, खास करके गरीबों के जीवन में एक अभूतपूर्व बदलाव नजर आ रहा है। 2014 के बाद से देखें तो गांवों और शहरों को मिलाकर 2,40,00,000 से ज्यादा घरों का निर्माण पूरा किया गया है। उसी प्रकार से पानी की कमी और प्रदूषित पानी से होने वाली बीमारी लोगों के विकास में बाधा न बने, कुपोषण की समस्याओं को वो बढ़ाए नहीं, इस दिशा में भी मिशन मोड में काम हो रहा है।
Prime Minister also once again stressed on the immense importance of Atmanirbhar Bharat campaign. Prime Minister reiterated the call for self-reliant India, highlighting its requirements and benefits. The Prime Minister said that the positive response received on this year's budget has expressed the mood of the nation. The country has made up its mind, wants to move fast and does not want to waste time. Prime Minister said Atmanirbhar Bharat campaign is the way to develop an India that produces not only for its own needs but also for the world, and this production also stands the test of the world.
आत्मनिर्भर भारत अभियान एक ऐसे भारत का निर्माण का मार्ग है जो न केवल अपनी आवश्यकताओं के लिए बल्कि विश्व के लिए भी उत्पादन करे और ये उत्पादन विश्व श्रेष्ठता की कसौटी पर भी खरा उतरे। और इसलिए मैं हमेशा कहता हूं, जीरो डिफेक्ट जीरो इफेक्ट। भारत जैसा युवा देश, उसकी आकांक्षाओं को ध्यान में रखते हुए हमें आधुनिक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर का निर्माण करना होगा, इनोवेशन को बढ़ावा देना होगा, टेक्नोलॉजी का ज्यादा से ज्यादा प्रयोग करना होगा, शिक्षा कौशल के बेहतर अवसर उन्हें देने होंगे। साथियों, हमें अपने बिजनेस को, एमएसएमईज को, स्टार्टअप्स को और मजबूत करने की जरूरत है।
While addressing the delegates, Prime Minister Modi reminded the stakeholders that the present circumstances have delivered an opportunity to the nation and it should work towards enhancing the ease of doing business and ease of living simultaneously.
आज विश्व में हमें एक अवसर प्राप्त हुआ है। उस अवसर को जुटाने के लिए हमारी कोशिश रहनी चाहिए ईज ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस, और भारत के नागरिकों के लिए हमारी कोशिश रहनी चाहिए ईज ऑफ लिविंग। ग्लोबली भारत के पोजीशनिंग के लिए, भारत को अपॉर्चुनिटीज ग्रैब करने के लिए ईज ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस का महत्व है, और उसके लिए हमारे कानूनों में सुधार करना होगा, व्यवस्थाओं में सुधार करना होगा, और देश के नागरिकों की आशा अपेक्षाओं को पूरा करने के लिए, उसके जीवन को सरल करने के लिए, ईज ऑफ लिविंग के लिए जो चीजें आवश्यक हैं उसको बल देना पड़ेगा।
In fact, Prime Minister also urged the states to focus on value addition rather than being content with supplying the raw materials. He urged to focus on storage and processing of agricultural products to reduce its wastage. Prime Minister stressed the need to export processed foods rather than raw foods to increase profits.
हमारे हर राज्य की अपनी एक खूबी है, हर राज्य के हर जिले के पास अपना हुनर है, अपनी खासियत है। सरकार द्वारा देश को ये सैकड़ों जिलों के प्रोडक्ट्स को शॉर्टलिस्ट करके उनके वैल्यू एडिशन के लिए, मार्केटिंग और एक्सपोर्ट के लिए उन्हें प्रमोट किया जा रहा है। इससे राज्यों के बीच एक स्वस्थ स्पर्धा अभी प्रारंभ हुई है, लेकिन आगे बढ़ाना है। कौन राज्य सबसे ज्यादा एक्सपोर्ट करता है, अधिक से अधिक प्रकार की चीजें एक्सपोर्ट करता है, अधिकतम देशों में एक्सपोर्ट करता है, अधिक से अधिक मूल्य की चीजें एक्सपोर्ट करता है, और फिर जिलों में भी स्पर्धा कैसे बने और हम एक्सपोर्ट पर विशेष बल हर राज्य हर जिला कैसे दे। हमें इस प्रयोग को जिलों और ब्लॉक्स के बीच भी लेकर जाना है।
In fact, the Governing Council presents a platform to discuss intersectoral, interdepartmental and federal issues and comprises of the Prime Minister, Chief Ministers of states and union territories, with legislatures and Lieutenant Governors of other union territories as well. And now let's move on to the other top story of the day. India and China are holding 10th round of co-commander level talks on the Chinese side of the line of actual control in Maldives. As we speak, the meeting is underway. The two sides are reportedly discussing disengagement from other friction points after disengagement from both northern and southern banks of Pangong Tso Lake. The disengagement process of troops of the Indian Army and China's People's Liberation Army from the line of actual control was reached after sustained negotiations at military and diplomatic level. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh had said that India's strategy and approach during disengagement talks with China are based on guidance of Prime Minister Modi that India will not allow an inch of its territory to be taken by anyone. Meanwhile, the disengagement process between India and China in Eastern Ladakh has been completed at Pangong Tso, and after this pullback from both sides, India and China are discussing disengagement from other friction points. The meeting is underway, as we just mentioned, and in fact it may be recalled that Defence Minister Rajnath Singh had announced in Parliament last week that the 10th round of talks would be held within 48 hours of the disengagement being completed on the north and south banks of Pangong Tso. And let's quickly go across to my colleague Nandita Dagar, who is tracking the story very, very closely, joining us with quick inputs. Nandita, as we speak, the 10th round of co-commander level talks are underway. First of all, just give us a quick update. What more are you hearing from your sources? What has been the progress made so far? It was supposed to start at 10 in the morning. What's the latest input on that?
Yes, hi Sakal. The meeting started at exactly at 10 a.m. as was scheduled at Moldo, which is on the Chinese occupied side of the line of actual control. Our Ministry of External Affairs representative is also part of the meetings, and of course they are led by a Lieutenant General level officer who is the Corps commander of the Leh-based 14 Corps, and he's meeting his Chinese side. This, as you rightly mentioned, is the 10th Corps Commander meeting, and you would know, Sakal, that till the 5 Corps Commander meetings, till these 5 round of talks, there was an absolute stalemate. They were not making any headway, these talks, and it was only after India showed a robust response and did that preemptive action of 29th, 30th of August, where they occupied the heights, the Zangla, Richinla and other heights at Kailash ranges, did the tables turn, and the Chinese started understanding the Indians' mean business. This, of course, and that the Indians did not budge at all. We were unrelenting from these heights. They were taken by surprise when India did not blink and stayed put even during the winter months. So therefore they had nothing. They did not gain, the Chinese PLA did not gain anything strategically. Correct. And they realized that this is a strategic miscalculation and it's actually a misadventure on their part. So hence then they were brought back to the bargaining table, and that is how this disengagement was made possible. That has just concluded about 2 days back. And as you just rightly mentioned in your introduction, the Defence Minister had promised the Parliament that there would be a first round, and this first round basically is not really taking stock of what has happened.
Okay.
That, of course, has been a very rigorous procedure where checking, verifying, checking, cross-checking, not just through line of sight, but also through satellite imagery, unmanned aerial vehicles. That has happened. But this talk will focus on the areas of Depsang, Gogra and Hot Springs, and Depsang primarily, because the disengagement at Pangong Tso North and South Shores is over. The armored and mechanized infantry forces have withdrawn.
So basically, we are looking at, just to elaborate it further very briefly, Nandita, we're looking at disengagement from the friction points that you just mentioned, 3 or 4 of them. And this round of talks, the 10th round of talks, is important, so to say, in order to trigger the pushback of the Chinese sides in these friction points, right?
Yes, you're right. Depsang is the area, Sakal, which is very strategic. If the Pakistanis and Chinese collude, they can cut off our access to the Siachen Glacier, because it acts the Daulat Beg oldie airstrip and that DSDBO road goes straight up to the Karakoram Pass. And therefore, this is a very strategic sector. Also, it is the largest disputed area along the eastern line of the actual control amongst all the friction points. That is very, very critical to us, and the Chinese know that. I've spoken to my my army sources, and they are telling me, Sakal, that this meeting is expected to go on long, but not as long as the earlier rounds that we saw in June, July, August, etc. This will still take some time, this meeting to end.
All right, Nandita. Yes, Nandita Dagar, you keep an eye on that story, developing story. Meanwhile, many thanks for joining us live on this broadcast.
Thank you.
Yes. And now let's move on and take a look at the other important developments of the day. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman is on a visit to Chennai and Tamil Nadu while speaking during an event on budget organized by Chennai Forum. She said that budget is not limited to 5 trillion in economy. It will take our economy much beyond that.
You know, the question about whether this budget addresses the $5 trillion economy or not, this budget is not limited to that. In fact, it goes beyond. I'd like to go one step ahead to say it has to incidentally achieve $5 trillion economy, but it gives a pathway for India. It gives a direction for India. It says that the government doesn't want to be everywhere. In fact, it clearly recognizes that the government wants to be where it should seem to be, and it should clearly be doing only the facilitation and minimum regulation.
Let us now take a look at the COVID-19 updates coming from across the country, and these are the numbers right on your screen. The COVID recovery rate in the country has touched 97.27%. which means 1,678,048 people have recovered from COVID-19 infection so far, and also 10,307 people were discharged in the last 24 hours. India's total active caseload presently stands at 1.43 lakh. The active caseload now consists of just 1.30% of the country's total positive cases. BJP National President JP Nadda will be reviewing organizational work of the party ahead of the assembly elections in various states. National General Secretary and National General Secretary Organization will attend the meeting. Now, it's an important meeting ahead of the BJP's National Executive Meet that's going to take place on Monday, which will be addressed by Prime Minister Modi. BJP is leaving no stone unturned in its preparations before assembly elections in states like Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Assam, and West Bengal, as well as Puducherry. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar will embark on a 4-day visit to Maldives and Mauritius. Foreign Minister of Maldives, Abdullah Shahid, has tweeted on the occasion to welcome the EAM. External Affairs Minister, in a tweet, Abdullah Shahid said, and I quote, "Looking forward to welcome back External Affairs Minister of India, His Excellency Dr. S. Jaishankar on his official visit. India is a key development partner of the Maldives, confident to pursue fruitful discussions and achieving many milestones during this visit." And let me quickly go across to my colleague Abhishek Jha on phone line to talk about External Affairs Minister's tour of Maldives and Mauritius. And Abhishek, quickly, what are we really looking at? Because this is coming at a time when Vaccine Maitri is gaining, the diplomatic initiative is gaining a lot of traction internationally, and especially these two countries are also one of the key recipients of the vaccine and part of the Vaccine Maitri diplomacy.
Of course, in fact, Sakal, Maldives was one of the first countries which got the Vaccine Maitri consignment. And not only this, before also Vaccine Maitri, India has been a key medical aid provider during the time of Corona to Maldives and Mauritius also. In Maldives, India has sent doctors, there were medical goods and those medical kits that were actually necessary to deal with Corona pandemic, they were also supplied. Before that, if we go a little back, India was also a key development partner in Maldives' growth. India has built stadium, police academy, and so many urban capacity has been actually built by Indian companies in Maldives. Recently, India has also provided $250 million of line of credit in order to ward off all those implications or those economic crises that Maldives had to face because of this Corona pandemic. So there has been a close coordination in terms of India and Maldives when it comes to dealing with the crisis. And Foreign Minister's visit is actually going to deepen those ties further. while he will be talking to the president of Maldives, Ibrahim Soli, and meeting Mohammad Nasheed, the speaker of Maldives Majlis. So we can expect that more talks will happen as to in what all areas India and Maldives can coordinate their collaboration, and India can provide more assistance to Maldives also.
All right, thank you very much. We'll leave it there, Abhishek, for those quick inputs. Well, the India Toy Fair is going to be organized from 27th of February to 2nd March this year. Kurukshetra's Rohit Dhiman is also excited for this fair, and one of the stalls among 1,000 belongs to Rohit. Rohit will display special wooden toys for kids during this virtual fair. Rohit, who carried forward his traditional work after pursuing engineering, perceives that the step would surely help to make India Atmanirbhar or self-reliant, and these are the toys made out of wood by Rohit, which are going to be showcased in India Toy Fair. Rohit belongs to Kurukshetra.
हमने कोई इसमें कलर वगैरह नहीं किया, हम बिल्कुल एसएसडीज प्योर वुड में ही दे रहे हैं ताकि बच्चा अगर मुंह में भी डाल ले, छोटा बच्चा, बड़ा बच्चा तो फिर भी संभाल, पर हम बेसिकली जैसे फन टॉयज होते हैं, छोटे जो वॉकिंग टॉयज होते हैं, मतलब बच्चा मुंह में ना डाले, उसे हार्मफुल किसी भी तरह कोई भी हार्मफुल दिक्कत ना हो उसे किसी भी तरह, क्योंकि देखा जा रहा है अभी फूड चेन में भी मोस्टली आजकल पेस्टिसाइड डाल के फूड चेन भी हमारी खराब हो चुकी है, मिलावटी फूड है, तो हम किसी स्तर पे अपने बच्चे जो आने वाली जनरेशन उनको किसी न किसी तरह से हम बचाएं केमिकल से, तो इसलिए एक पहल की गई है.
Leaders of the G7 group have vowed to boost supplies of COVID-19 vaccines to the developing world. At a virtual G7 meeting on Friday hosted by UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson, leaders increased their pledges to the WHO-led COVAX global vaccine initiative to $7.5 billion US. The countries agreed to share surplus vaccines with the developing world, and US leader Joe Biden, speaking at his first big international meeting as president, promised an extra $4 billion US for the COVAX scheme, with $2 billion US to be paid immediately. The US president also reaffirmed his commitment to fight climate change, creating what one official called a warm glow around the meeting and a renewed sense of optimism about multilateral cooperation. Well, the United States has officially rejoined the Paris Climate Agreement. The U.S. rejoins Paris Climate Agreement as it reinvigorates the global fight against climate change. The Biden administration plans drastic emission cuts over the next 3 decades. U.S. climate envoy John Kerry took part in the virtual event on Friday to mark the U.S. re-entry. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said that the U.S. will try to make up for lost time due to Trump's withdrawal.
I think we have to end the word climate change and own up to the fact it is the climate crisis now. And that's why President Biden submitted the paperwork to immediately rejoin the Paris Agreement as soon as he could, hours after he was sworn in. Today, as you heard and as you know, it is absolutely official. The United States is once again a party to the Paris Agreement. And I'm proud and pleased with that fact, but it also places on us a special responsibility. We rejoin the international climate effort with humility and with ambition. Humility, knowing that we lost 4 years during which America was absent from the table, and humility in knowing that today no country and no continent is getting the job done.
Scientists and foreign diplomats have welcomed the United States' return to the treaty, which became official 30 days after President Joe Biden ordered the move on his first day in office. Since nearly 200 countries signed the 2015 Pact to prevent catastrophic climate change, U.S. has been the only country to exit. Then President Donald Trump took the step, claiming climate action would cost too much rather, while Biden promised to chart a path towards net zero U.S. emissions by 2050. UN Secretary General Guterres welcomed the return of the U.S. and said, as we mark the United States' re-entry into this treaty, we also recognize its restoration in its entirety and its creators intended. Back home, Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed the 6th meeting of the Governing Council of Niti Aayog via video conferencing today. Prime Minister said the basis of the country's progress is cooperative federalism, and today's meeting is to brainstorm to make it more meaningful and move towards competitive cooperative federalism. The Prime Minister added, keeping in mind the aspirations of the young country like modern India, modern infrastructure has to be built. Innovation has to be encouraged and more technology should be used to provide better opportunities for education and skills. Prime Minister further stressed the need for strengthening businesses, MSMEs and startups. In fact, Prime Minister said shortlisting the products of hundreds of districts of the country according to its speciality has promoted them and also led to a healthy competition among the states. Prime Minister further urged to take this block wise, make full use of the resources of the states and increase the exports from the states. And Prime Minister also stressed the importance for a better coordination and policy framework between the centre and the states. Well, we have some more news and updates. In the latest fallout from a crippling winter storm, more than 14 million Texans on Friday had to endure disrupted water supplies, leaving many longing for a hot shower, just as the state's power grid jerked back to life after 5 days of blackouts. Texas Governor Greg Abbott confirmed that all power generating plants were online as of Thursday afternoon. He urged lawmakers to pass legislation to ensure the grid was prepared for cold weather in the future. The governor lashed out at the Electricity Reliability Council of Texas, which is a cooperative responsible for 90% of the state's electricity, which he said had told officials before the storm that the grid was prepared.
Annual winter assessment, which was designed to ensure the state is prepared, that assessment assured the public of Texas that there would be enough power to meet peak demand this winter. Now, what happened is ERCOT fell short on all three of these promises they made, which is exactly why that I have ordered the state legislature to investigate exactly why ERCOT fell short here and to make sure this never happens again. Listen, we know that you folks at home have faced struggles by going without power. We want to make sure that whatever happened in ERCOT falling short never happens again, even if it means that the state stepping up, providing funds to ensure that all of the machinery that froze up and was unable to generate the power you need, that may require funding. The state of Texas should step up and provide that funding.
And there's some good news coming in from the world of cinema and entertainment. Indian regional language film in Oriya National Award-winning director Neela Madhav Panda's first Oriya film, Kalera Atita, has made its entry into the prestigious Academy Awards race in the general category for Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Director, among other categories. It is a landmark moment for Oriya cinema and for the country by large. And sharing this big moment and expressing his happiness, Neela Madhav Panda, who's the director, wrote on Twitter, and I quote, "In an year full of challenges, I feel extremely happy to announce Kalera Atita has made its entry into the Oscar race in general entry category for Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Director and many other categories. It's being made available for Academy screening. Grateful to everyone," unquote. In fact, the film depicts impact of climate change, focusing on a man who lost his family and home to the sea. The film emphasizes the harsh realities of climate change and rising sea levels. Earlier, the movie had been selected at the Indian Panorama section at the 51st International Film Festival of India, which recently concluded in Goa. And with that, it's time to wrap up this newscast on DD India. Thank you for staying with us. Namaskar.